Hey everybody, it is Friday afternoon and it is full puppy access. Poor little Missy got one of her molars extracted yesterday. She had a slab fracture in her molar, so she's on recovery today and has to be close to me at all times so she's not eating hard things like sticks. But some of my tulip, come here. Hey, come here. Tulip, come here. Come on in. No, come on. Tilly, you come in too. Come on. It's easier for me. It's like, now this is the playpen. It's a pretty windy Friday, so I'm going to not talk too much. But some of my red onions are ready. They've laid down, which is a sign that they're ready to be harvested. So this afternoon, I'm going to harvest what's ready. And then I'm going to fashion some kind of onion drying rack for the rest as they begin to lay over so that I can just slide them onto the rack and not have to worry about building it. Another sad report. So my melon vine died, my honeydew melon vine. My cantaloupes are still doing okay. I think some of them might ripen, but my little honeydew melons there aren't going to ripen. It's pretty sad. The first year I grew onions, I had no idea when to harvest them. And my friend Melissa came over one day and I had an onion, I had these massive onions in the garden, like this. I was so excited. And she says, when they fall over, they're ready. And so I waited a couple more weeks and then they all looked like this and they lay in the beds kind of on their sides. And that's when when the green tops kind of kink over to the side, that cuts off the energy to the bulb and they're ready to start drying. You can see some of these are already starting to turn kind of papery, and that's kind of how you know. I planted my red onions and my Spanish onions at the same time, and the reds were ready first. I don't know if that's always the case or what, because it's the first year I've grown red onions, but just an interesting note to make. Look at that beauty. All right, there's not a lot of good light. I'll turn the lights on in here in a minute. But I have got 2 Broody hens in the shop. And you know what's so funny? It drives Brian nuts because they poop everywhere. And Broody hen poop really smells. But what's even funnier is when I come in the morning, they always roost on the thing that is like either most valuable or really important for like the work that we do. So this morning I came in and they were on the what is this thing called? Chop saw. So one was like roosted up on the handle and one was roosted on the saw part. It was absolutely hilarious. So every morning it's something different, but it's so funny. And they have to be in here until at least tomorrow so that I know that they're not Broody anymore. So super funny. Actually, I'm going to try and build this thing outside, but what I'm going to try and do is build an onion drying rack. In the last couple of years that I grew onions, I just basically made a rack with like chicken wire or wire mesh that they laid on top of, but it wasn't the most space effective. So I saw an Instagram post of some awesome dude, gardener, who made this rack where you slid the onion bulbs in and let the greens hang down. So that is what I'm going to try and fashion. And actually what I was thinking is we have a real problem with like floor space and poor use of floor space. And so what I was thinking is I could make something that hangs. So I'll make the racks and then we will hang them maybe in the back end of the shop where the garlic is. And then as they dry, I can just add them to the rack. So that's what I'm going to try and do. It's the hanging part. Like I can just string them from ropes, but it'd be nice to have them on a pulley. Probably not going to get that fancy, but anyways, I'm just gonna use materials that I already have to make them, so it's not going to be pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's going to work. Well, this is pretty awesome. We got about half of the onions hung up. So all we did was hook it to the rafters and made it at a height that I would be able to hang the rest of the onions once I harvest them. So all we have left is mostly Spanish onions, and I'll just wait for them to fall over. And as they fall over, I'll just add them to the rack. But this is a pretty spiffy way to dry the onions. I didn't measure really anything except for the 8-foot length of the boards. Like you saw, I didn't measure. I just screwed it together. So close enough carpentry strikes again. But honestly, when it comes to projects like this, I get it in my head and I just want to try it. And I don't care if it's perfect or measured or anything. I just want it to do the job, which this is doing. I asked Brian for some help to help me hang it. But other than that, like, it was pretty straightforward. So anybody could do this themselves. If I use screws, but you could probably use nails, whatever, to screw it together. And then what I'll do is I'll just leave it together and put it up in the mezzanine until next year when I need it. I'll count the onions to give you an idea of how much this dried, but I have 7. I have 7 8-foot pieces of, it's roughly like 2 by 2, but it's like 2 by 1.5 or something like that. And so I have 6 kind of slots that run the length. And as you saw, I just pushed the greens down through the slot. And then on the ends, I can just like shove them on or string them on, so it'll be pretty easy to dry. Anyways, hope you're all having a great day, that your harvest season is going well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.